All right, let's go to the phone. Go to the phone right now? Yes, all right. Let's talk some golf with Mike Hlas. He is the sports columnist for the Cedar Rapids Gazette. And Mike, before we say hello and bring you in, I want to set everybody up on this. You wrote a column. I saw the column, and you wrote that Zach Johnson, the winner of the British Open, deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as Sam Snead, Jack Nicklaus, Seve Ballesteros, Nick Faldo, Tiger Woods, because these are the only people who have won the Masters at Augusta and a British Open at St. Andrews. And furthermore, you say that Zach Johnson should be inducted into the World Golfing Hall of Fame. Welcome to the show, Mike. And the first question has to be, there is no other question, are you worried that people are going to read this and say it's nothing more than the rantings of the guy who writes for the local newspaper where Zach Johnson grew up?
Well, the first thing I'd say is that's a misrepresentation of what I wrote. I simply said this is the list of the players who've won at both Augusta National and St. Andrews, and said that Johnson is probably headed to the Hall of Fame. I didn't say he should be. I think he will be, just on the basis of who they've inducted in the last few years and what they've done. Obviously, he's not Nicklaus or Woods or Snead or Ballesteros or Faldo, but that is the list.
Mike, this is Woody. I would, and I've been interpreted before too, but I think that we're all on a track here that Zach is a guy that is one of 14. Les brought up about guys winning at Augusta and winning at St. Andrews, but he's one of only 14 people that have won both. It's hard to believe almost when I thought about it, having spent a lot of time at both tournaments, that he's one of only 14 players that have ever won both the Masters and the British Open. You'd think that list, or at least I would have thought that list was longer. And Zach's had a better career than a lot of people, I think, imagine it, even though he's won the two majors, but he has been a prominent guy out there all along. And I thought while watching his performance on Monday that he would be a real candidate. If Dan Jenkins, Mike, you probably know, if Dan Jenkins is in the Golf Hall of Fame, and he's a good friend of mine, then Zach Johnson probably. The Golf Hall of Fame is not like the Baseball Hall of Fame. They tend to put guys that have had very good careers, and I would put Zach Johnson in the very good Hall of Fame. Is that a fair appraisal, Mike, in your opinion?
I mean, let's assume that he one day is in the Hall of Fame, the World Hall of Fame. First of all, I don't think that too many people on the street are too concerned with who's in it and who's not. But I don't think anybody's going to go to the World Golf Hall of Fame wherever it's located. I have no idea.
I can tell you, it's down where they play the Players Championship. It's
okay.
Right outside.
Well, I don't think people will stop at the plaque for Zach Johnson and you know, spend 5 minutes there to gaze at the inscription. But and I, you know, you can tell the story of golf without mentioning his name. The column that I wrote yesterday was basically that this changes the way he's viewed in the golf world. I think you're not just a one major winner. You're somebody who's won what arguably are the two most prestigious tournaments there are, and beat the top player. I mean, he beat Tiger Woods in 2007 at Augusta when Tiger was at the peak of his powers, and Tiger was Player of the Year that year. And he's the only guy who's toppled Jordan Spieth so far this year.
Yeah, that was a point, and was kind of lost. That I was at the Masters when he beat Tiger, and that's what I was thinking about the other day, to beat two guys that were on incredible runs like that. But I'm sure, Mike, you know the story a lot better than I do. I remember distinctly at Augusta that the first thing he did was call his old club, because those guys really raised the money for him to have an opportunity to go out on tour. Could you expand on that story a little bit? Is that true, as I remember it?
Yeah, no, that's very accurate. I mean, the story, to me, if anything does make him a Hall of Famer in the future, is his story.
Yeah.
It's just so different. I mean, he didn't get on the PGA Tour until he was 27. I mean, Spieth is 22, McIlroy's 26. I mean, you know about all the 20-somethings and those who came before them. He was playing on the Dakotas Tour and the Prairie Tour and the Hooters Tour, and your local pro tournaments, wherever they would throw up $10,000 for a winner. He'd be there, and the whole story. He wasn't the best player on his high school team, wasn't the best player on his college team, and his college team was Drake University. But he thought that he was good enough to play pro golf for whatever reason, and he thought that he was somebody who was going to continue to improve, and he had the fire in his belly. And so about a dozen, maybe 15 local people cobbled together some money for him to go out and play these mini tours, drive his car around, stay in the Flophouse motels, eat the junk food, and see if that was really what he wanted to do. And I talked to one of those guys just yesterday, and he said we figured that he'd have 5 or 6 years of fun out there, give it his best shot, and then move on with his life. The results have been slightly different.
Mike, does Zach belong in the discussion right now as one of maybe the top player on the tour, along with Rory, along with Spieth, along with Dustin Johnson?
He was 32nd.
No, I mean, look, he's got 12 career wins in 12 or 13 years. It's not the stuff of 30 for 30s or anything like that. But he is, he's a 12th ranked player in the world, and I think that he's one of the 20 best players in golf at any given moment. But what he is not is scared of big moments. There are a lot of players with more fame and more recognition, more endorsements, more whatever, or orange clothes, who don't have the resume of championships that he does. And I'm not just talking the 2 majors, but, winning 12 times is winning 12 times. There aren't very many guys on tour right now who've done that.
Yeah, I consider him, Mike, a Tom Lehman, a lunchbox guy, a guy who came up through the ranks and had to just grind his way and keep grinding his way, keep working his game. And watching him over the weekend, I thought he must work on his short game and his putting just beyond belief, because that's where his strength comes in. He's not going to outdrive anybody. He's not going to just overwhelm anybody, but he is a Tom Lehman kind of grinder, I think.
I think that's a good example. Saturday, during the horrible weather where they barely got any golf off at all over there, I guess he was on the range hitting, 80-yard wedges, not with his caddy, at his caddy. He had his caddy standing out in that weather, in the wind and so forth, and he's spending hours hitting shots at him. Kind of paid off on Sunday and Monday, I guess, but that's where the difference is there's just no, he loves the opportunity. I don't recall seeing him on a Sunday when he was in contention where he gave anything away. He's certainly, there have been times when things were taken from him, sure, but when he's in the lead on a Sunday, or in this case a Monday, he seems to relish it, and we've all seen plenty of pro golfers who you wouldn't say that about.
Hey, Mike, we really appreciate your time, and we'll keep reading, because I'm sure you're going to be writing more about Zach. Appreciate it.
I appreciate the recognition in the call, and I will start watching your guys' show on the web.
Well, thanks. He is Mike Hlas. He's a sports columnist for the Cedar Rapids Gazette, and we'll be inviting you back. Thanks, Mike. All right, all guests brought to you by Papa John's, the official sponsor of the Colorado Rockies. The day after every Rockies win, like today, you can get 50% off your regular menu price online order at papajohns.com. So go to papajohns.com and use the promo code ROXWIN, ROXWIN, and get 50% off your order today.